You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, Days of Our Lives fans. It is Belinda from Soap Dirt, and I've got some leaked information that just came out. Paul Telfer just confirmed Chloe and Xander's split. This is very interesting to me. There's a whole lot of info rolling around about Chloe Lane, Xander Cook, and what's next for them. Sarah just had Xander's baby, but she's set to marry Rex, and Dandy Zandy put a ring on Chloe's finger, and he's ready to trot her down the aisle. But everything is about to blow up. So I'm going to share with you some info that Paul Telfer just leaked for us in a recent interview that has me super excited about what is next on Days of Our Lives. Before I dig into that, if you haven't already, please reach down, click subscribe so you don't miss any of our day's updates. So already there was one interview where Maggie Horton actress Suzanne Rogers spilled some boiling hot tea in an interview, and she unveiled some plots that have not played out on screen. So I'm not sure if Days is telling actors like her and Paul Telfer to go leak info to try and draw viewership to Peacock, because I know it's fallen off since they moved from NBC over to Peacock. Or maybe it's this very wonky 6-month tape to air delay, so the actors aren't necessarily aware of what's aired and what's not. You might assume that the actors watch themselves on screen, but a lot of actors don't like to watch their own work. They will film TV shows or movies and then they don't watch them, because some of them they don't, because they're perfectionists, or they say they're only going to see their own flaws. So not all actors watch their own work. So that's just fair. So no matter the reason that stuff is leaking, now we've got hunky Paul Telfer spilling some tea of his own. He chatted recently with iHollywood TV, someplace I had never heard of, but he was on camera, so it's definitely him. It's not just this place I have never heard of saying things. It was definitely Paul Telfer. I watched the interview. So here's what Paul Telfer said. He said, really excited about things coming down the pipe in a way that I haven't been in a long time, just because it's kind of the culmination of a lot of things being set up. And then he spoke about Xander and Sarah, saying he's never been worthy of her. He's never considered himself her equal, so it never quite works out for them because his inherent insecurity causes him to do something stupid to ruin it all. That is a completely accurate sentiment about his character. So then Paul Telfer said, now the audience is ahead of Xander. The audience knows that Sarah is actually carrying Xander's child, and at this point has given birth to Xander's child, and Xander is becoming the only person, not just in Salem, but in the known universe, to not know that he's the father of this kid. That was pretty funny. And then he talked about Xander's status with Chloe. And this is what really, really caught my ears. So he spoke about it as a done deal, done, dusted, over with. Telfer said, off the back of the very recent collapse of his engagement to this other girl that he's head over heels in love with, Chloe Lane, played by the beautiful Nadja Borland, when that starts to collapse because of some of the things that I've mentioned, this is also in the aftermath of him losing his Uncle Victor, who is essentially a father figure to him, a very toxic father figure. Paul Telfer continued, saying, and so there's just an enormous amount to play out, drama and romance-wise, of Xander dealing with being crushed and dealing with losing his fiancée to this information, losing his uncle/father, who he had such a complicated relationship with, but also finding out that what he always wanted has happened. He is a father. So I'm just going to interrupt Paul's comments real quick with a quick few notes on when this split is happening that he just confirmed is going to go down between Xander and Chloe based on official Days of Our Lives spoilers. So by the end of this week, we're looking at spoilers saying 2 couples could get married with no names stated. One of them, though, we know is Rex and Sarah. And then on Monday, September 25th, Chloe Lane overhears something shocking, and a spoiler photo shows her nearby while Philip Kiriakis is talking to Rex Brady in the town square. I definitely feel like Rex is going to come clean to his brother Philip that he's not the baby's father, the baby that Sarah named Victoria Margaret Horton to honor both Victor and Maggie. I'm guessing that Philip is going to offer his brother congratulations and talk about, oh, I'm excited to meet my niece, whatever. And then Rex tells his brother the truth and asks him not to tell anyone. I suspect that's what Chloe overhears, and she knows this is trouble for her engagement because she already said if Sarah had been carrying Xander's baby, she knew her engagement would fall apart before it even started. And then official spoilers for Tuesday, the 26th, say that Chloe is grappling with a huge life decision, and I'm certain that it's whether she should tell Xander the truth that she knows he needs to know. Then on Wednesday, September 27th, next week, it is Rex and Sarah's wedding day, but Sarah is not sure if she wants to go through with it. What we do know based on all of this is probably by the end of next week, the week of the 25th through the 29th, Chloe and Xander are probably done. I do suspect that Chloe is going to do the right thing and tell him that that baby is hers, that she overheard Rex and Philip. I think she's going to lay it all out to him and tell him that they probably should call off their engagement until he figures things out. I think she's going to give him an out. We'll wait and see. We do know that Nadja Borlin is leaving Days of Our Lives soon. I think that Chloe is probably going to leave with Philip Kiriakis. I know some people are saying, oh, I think she's going to leave with Rex. I don't think so, because another spoiler says that she asks Philip about his feelings, I think about his feelings for her. She talked recently about how much she loved Philip when she was talking to Kate, and he shot a total of 13 episodes, and by the end of next week, he's going to be rubbing right up against the last of those, and Chloe may want to get away from Salem, get away from all this, so she doesn't have to see Sarah and Xander co-parenting and possibly reigniting their love. All right. So more spoilers from Paul Telfer. Back to this interview now that I've given you a little context. So Paul went on after mentioning that Xander and Chloe's engagement ends and says, and so all that plays out, he and Sarah trying to come to terms with each other and how it's going to work being parents that don't live together and don't love each other anymore. There's just a huge amount of work there that I'm so proud of, particularly getting my amazing scene partner, Lindsay Godfrey, back and on a consistent basis. And she plays Sarah, just a magnificent, super duper actress. So while Paul Telfer is talking about them not living together and just co-parenting and trying to sort it out, Suzanne Rogers spilled in her interview that Xander and Sarah get remarried. So there's that to look forward to. Paul didn't spill as much in his interview as Suzanne did. So whether Chloe leaves town right away or a little bit later, clearly she and Xander are not going to be getting married. He's going to be remarrying Sarah, and that's according to actress Suzanne Rogers, who plays Maggie, Sarah's mother. So one more quick tidbit from the Paul Telfer interview in 1 second I want to tell you, but first, if you haven't already, please reach down and click subscribe so you don't miss any of our day's updates, and click a like if you enjoyed these leak spoilers. So then Paul Telfer talked more about what's ahead for Xander and Sarah and said, if people like soap operas, if they like soap operas, you got some really good soapy, messy stuff coming. He also talked briefly, this was funny to me, about kissing scenes, and he talked about how they are not romantic to film. He talked about you're kissing, but there's cameras up in your face, there's boom mics, there's just people all up on top of you that you can't even see. And he says the main thing to a kissing scene is that it's just very hard not to giggle. And he talked about them when they do the quick blocking, when they walk through the scene to make sure that everybody knows where they're supposed to be. He said for that part, you don't do the kissing. You just kind of lean in and your faces are really close together. And he said this funny thing. He said Lindsay Godfrey, who plays Sarah, when they do the blocking and they practice those scenes that if there's going to be a kissing scene, she always goes nom, 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 and makes this funny little sound right in his face. And he even talked about filming kissing scenes with Greg Rickhart, who plays Leo Stark, which was very funny. Okay, drop your comments below on what you're excited to see, what you think about what Paul Telfer said, and who you hope Chloe leaves town with, because she and Xander are just about to call it quits and split. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. This has been Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.